All right. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Tony Napoli Comedy Hour. Today, we have a real special guest. He's an actor, he's a comedian, he's a producer, he's a screenwriter, he's a lot of things. And this is Mr. Greg Vaccariello. Let's bring him
Doing,
on.
Tony. Hello, everybody.
Hey, Greg, how are you? Sorry I had to wake you up
I'm
this
doing.
morning. You're in Las Vegas.
I'm in Vegas, but I'm up. I'm awake. My wife is crazy. My wife gets up early every morning, so I'm up. She's up like 3:30, quarter to four. So
Oh, what? Oh, that's too
I'm
early.
awake.
That's too early. All right.
Oh, it's
So,
crazy. But like I told you before, I got my espresso, so I'm ready to go.
yeah, salute. I got mine too. So, you can never
So
do
I know.
without. So,
No,
uh,
you gotta have it.
no, no. I really appreciate when I saw your name yesterday during the Tom Anzalone interview. I'm like, I gotta have Greg on. I called you right away. You were on board, and I really
Yeah,
appreciate that. So, let's talk about
sure.
you.
I appreciate you having me, Tony. Believe me.
No, well, thank you. But let's talk about you. And I'm gonna go way back. It's
All
third
right.
grade. I want to start with when
Okay.
you were born in the Bronx. Now you're in third grade.
Yeah.
Okay, what happens?
Yeah.
There was
Oh,
a
did you read it
play.
off my bio?
I know everything about you,
I was
Greg.
in third
I
grade.
even know your DNA and blood type.
Yeah. You're good, Tony. You're good. Uh, yeah, I was in a play, a school play, and I forget what play it was, but I remember I was a cop or something like that. And I was doing my lines, and then I remember I had to exit the stage, and something came over me, and I just kind of exited really funny. Like nothing that was in rehearsal, nothing that was in the script. I just exited funny, and everybody laughed. And I go to the stage, and after the play was over, the teacher said to me, "That was the funniest part of the whole show." And I'm like, "Well, that's kind of sad, but when you think about it, but that made me think that maybe I was funny.
You know,
I'll never forget that."
it's so odd to realize that in third grade you're a funny guy, and and that's something that you already know. I'm still waiting for people to find me funny. So,
it,
um, so and
it,
reading your
it, it was
bio,
it was early on for sure. What's that, Tone?
no, I said, and I know that. I mean, I was going to ask you, you after that you waited till you had some other comedians in your life that influenced you. One of them being Jackie Gleason from the Honeymooners.
Oh, yeah. Boy, Tony, from when I was a little kid, I would watch the Honeymooners and laugh every time. Even if I saw the episode 20 times, I thought Jackie Gleason, well, that whole cast was incredible. They were all funny. But Jackie Gleason, Art Carney, I mean, all of them, they were phenomenal. What a great cast. It's like we got spoiled early on, sitcoms, with the best cast you could ever have on a TV show. And, everything after that, I guess, tried to be that great. And it's hard when out of the box you have a show that's funny. And they were great. Oh my God! I don't know if you remember, but Jackie Gleason would come out sometimes. Jackie Gleason showed he'd be holding a little. It was like a cup of tea. You thought it was tea or coffee, and he would sip it, and he'd go, "Ooh, how sweet it is." If he didn't do that, Tony, I would cry when I was a kid. I mean, I would
Yeah,
cry. I thought he was the greatest.
yeah, definitely. You know, an incredible entertainer. I wouldn't just say, not, I wouldn't call him an actor or comedian,
Oh,
but just somebody that entertain you all around at
yeah,
360 degrees. You know, um, actually, I was,
that's exactly right.
yeah. Um, Actually, this is got nothing to do with comedy or television. just the other day, I was reading something about him, and I think it was Eisenhower going into some kind of bunker in Miami looking for aliens, but that's a totally separate issue. I was just reading about him
Okay.
just a few days ago. But now,
Huh.
when I think about you, I always think about traveling. You've been all over the place. You were born in the Bronx, right? Moved to Long Island,
Born in Bronx. Yeah.
okay?
Yes.
And
Went to school in Long
somehow your
Island,
home base is Los Angeles, and you live in Las Vegas.
and I'm in Vegas now. Technically, Tony, I don't live in Las Vegas anymore. I live a little west of Las Vegas in a town called Pahrump.
Okay?
And if you don't know Pahrump, watch some repeats of a show called Live PD, and they were all over Pahrump. It's a great town. We're known for brothels and hemp fields.
Oh,
So,
fantastic.
so that's where I live, brothels and hemp fields. Yeah. What more could you ask for?
Hey, at least you got the sun. Where I live, I have winter 9 months out of the year.
Oh, I love it.
So how was your transition
Yeah,
between East
I know,
Coast
man. I've been up there many times.
uh, but being an Italian
Well,
from the East Coast,
yeah,
how did you transition to go to the West
I'll
Coast?
tell you, when I first moved to LA, I uh, I had I had a problem with the food. Not all of the food. They got great food there, but I kept having people tell me, "Oh, we know a great pizza place," and I would go, "Yeah, 3,000 miles that way." They just don't have the pizza out there like we have on the East Coast. It's just, and bagels. You can't get a good bagel out there. Impossible. I don't care what anybody says. You can't get pizza and bagel worth anything on the West Coast. Sushi, yes. Yeah, I get it. Yes. Mexican, yes. Wonderful. But the pizza and the bagels, and then of course there's a different attitude. You know what? It's like when you're on the East Coast. I'm not saying it's perfect. It's just that it's different. You know, in New York, for instance, I think people are more direct with you than they are on the West Coast. On the East Coast, you know, I think they'll tell you what they really think as opposed to lying to you. And I appreciate that, especially maybe I'm a little jaded. I'm in show business, and there's a lot of phonies in show business no matter where you go. But I think, there's that joke about the LA handshake. Somebody shakes your hand and they look over your shoulder to see if there's somebody more important than you behind you. In New York, it's more like they shake your hand and they look you in the eye. They at least give you that.
Yeah.
That's a tough thing. I found on the West Coast, like if somebody asks you a question, hey, what do you want to do tonight? I want to go to the movies. They'll say, are you sure you want to go to the movies? You don't want to go to dinner or maybe just stay home? No, I want to go to the movies. On the East Coast, if someone says, what do you want to do tonight? And you say, I want to go to the movies. They go, okay, what movie do you want to go to?
Right.
I think on the West Coast, they expect your answer to be bullshit.
I got you.
Whereas on the East Coast, your answer is your answer. Does that make sense?
Yeah, actually, actor and actually comedian Mike Marino, he lives in LA,
Yeah,
and he
yeah.
basically drew the same picture that you just drew. You know,
Okay.
he was telling me basically the same things. Basically, said in the East Coast, if somebody gotta say go fuck yourself, they will.
Yeah,
You know, plain and
exactly.
simple.
And to
Straight forward.
me, if you're straightforward with somebody, to me, it's a sign of respect to that person. And you respect yourself too. I booked a couple of shows and clubs, and sometimes people would come in and audition, and they would always ask me, well, how did it go? Did I pass? What do you think? If I thought they were really good and wanted to use them, I would tell them that. I would tell them why I thought they were good. What was it about your performance that I liked? Not that I'm an expert or the answer to everything, but I would say to them, man, when you did that joke, the way you transitioned to this joke was beautiful. I love it. And if they weren't ready for the room, as I would tell them, because it's Vegas, you're on this trip, you got to be ready. If they weren't ready, if they asked me why, I would tell them why I thought they weren't ready. So they could then make the choice of either working on what I said or just moving on to another club and ignoring me totally. But at least they knew that I was being direct and honest with them, because it's important. You know, if a younger comic's coming up and they want to make some headway, if you just say to them, yeah, it was great, I'll call you, and you don't think it was great and you're not going to call them, why give them false hope? Why let them continue down a path that may not work for them? Now, somebody else may go, you're great, we'll book you. So I'm not saying I have all the answers, but when I booked a show in Vegas, I knew what would work in the room that I booked. It's like, you know, what may work I'll just say, New York, LA, Chicago, Des Moines, Rochester, Syracuse, wherever, may not work in Vegas.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean? So you wanted to make sure, especially with younger comics, and they were not as experienced. Sometimes it takes experience to know, hey, this joke didn't work, that joke didn't work. Let me not get flustered and move on to something else. And an inexperienced comic may just panic up there. You can't panic in Vegas. You can't. You got to hold it together. You got to be a pro. So that was part of it too. Sometimes I would see a comedian and go, man, I think you're funny. I think you get a lot of potential, but you're not ready. You're not ready. You need to get on stage 500 more times before I'll look at you again. Because there's that subtle thing that comes with doing something a lot, that you just become more comfortable with what you're doing. You've had the heckler, you've had the sound go out. You had to follow that comedian that maybe was so dirty.
Little things, hecklers, sound, lights. There's always something going wrong, especially in the smaller clubs. I mean, it happens more often than people like to believe. I gotta before I continue. There's a wonderful lady. She's following us right now. She's so wonderful.
Okay.
I met her at a lot of the shows. Her name is Yolanda Cangelosi, and today is her birthday. So I just wanted to wish her happy birthday.
Oh.
So she's following her right now. She says hello to you as well.
Hello, happy birthday, Yolanda.
Going back to comedy, and then after this segment, I want to talk about your TV movie career. You've been doing this for a long time. I think the first what I know is that you started your stand-up in 1989. That's 31 years ago.
Oh my God!
What was your first experience? And then we'll talk about also your live video, which I love. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, I'll tell you, Tony, I took an acting class on Long Island with an acting coach named John Monteleone. And I got into the class, and in that class was another student named Gary Valentine. I don't know if you know Gary. So great comedian, great actor, Gary Valentine. So Gary and I had become friends, and he was doing stand-up and I wasn't yet. And Gary said to me, you got to start coming out to the comedy clubs. You're funny. You need to be getting on stage, doing stand-up. I never really thought about doing stand-up. So I started hanging out at some of the open mic nights on Long Island, East Side Comedy Club, which was Richie Minervini's club, Governors, the Brokerage, McGuire's, Chuckles, which is now gone. But I started hanging out, and I started thinking about doing stand-up. So I would watch the comedians. Like, how do you do it? How do you put your act together? Everybody's different, Everybody's got a different style. There were joke tellers, there were storytellers, there were impressionists, all that. So you got to try to figure out, who am I? So I would try to watch these comedians and ask them, how'd you get that joke? How did you put that experience, whatever happened to you, how did you relate that to the stand-up stage? Something that's funny in real life may not be funny on stage. You have to make it funny. And I would learn from these people. And Gary was a great help because he was just a little ahead of me. He was already doing open mic nights. He was already starting to host some shows. I thought he was, oh my God, he's hosting a show. He's famous. I didn't know. And then one night we're at Eastside Comedy Club. I don't know if Gary would remember this. And I had been preparing 5 minutes. I had been preparing it, but I wasn't going to do it yet. And one night, the normal host was out. She was sick. And Gary was hosting the show, and he just brought me up. And he said, he doesn't know who's coming up yet, but here's Greg Vaccariello. And oh my God, I went on stage. And I got through it, Tony. I got through it because I had been preparing, writing stuff out, getting the punchlines, all that. And so I got through it. I survived it. And I thought, oh my God, you made it. You're still alive. I think it was 3 minutes, 4 minutes. Back then, that seemed like an eternity. Now, if someone says, can you do 3 minutes? I go, I'm not wasting my time for 3 minutes. But back then, it was an eternity. 3 minutes on stage by yourself doing stand-up comedy. It's the toughest performing art. I love everybody who performs. But when you're up there by yourself with your material, doing your stuff in front of a room full of strangers, it's like you're bare naked. You know what I mean? But I got through it. And then I prepared better. And then I knew the next time I was going up that I was going up. And so I was prepared better for it. But I got to tell you, I don't remember it. I don't remember it. I remember doing it. I remember surviving it. I remember I got a couple laughs, nothing big, but I got a couple laughs. But I don't remember it. It was like an out-of-body experience. And the second time I went up, it was an open mic night, Eastside Comedy, Richie's Club. Joan St. Ange, who was our improv teacher, was hosting a show. I was supposed to do 5 minutes. And Tony, I couldn't even I didn't know how to keep time, nothing. I think I did 8 minutes. I went 3 minutes over, and that is a no-no. You never go over your time. But I learned a valuable lesson that night. It was my second night on stage. Do not go over your time, because it's not just about you and your performance. There's a whole show.
Absolutely.
And exactly. And you have a wait staff that has to get the room clean and get there at a certain time. They want to go home. You think you're doing great, or you think you're killing. Well, you know what? There's maybe on an open mic night, you may have 8 more comics coming up after you.
Right.
And they don't want to lose their time, but the show has to end at 9:30. So now you're starting to affect other people at the show, So I learned that lesson on my second night. My second night on stand-up, I went, do not go over your time. And one of my biggest pet peeves I ever had in comedy was when I was booking a show. And I would tell the comedians, here's the time you have. Do you accept this time? They always would say yes. And I would say 10% of them couldn't even do it. And that's a big percentage.
It is.
So if I tell you your spot is 10 minutes, not 10 minutes and 1 second, 10 minutes, and you say, yep, no problem. You do 11 minutes. You do 12 minutes. I've got all these people coming after you, and I've got a showroom that I have to be out of at a certain time. Like in Vegas, you got to be out at a certain time. They don't care. Wrap it up. Turn the lights and sound off. They don't care. So if someone goes even if you say 2 minutes, that's a lot of time, because you have maybe 8 acts on the show. They're all doing their time. You've affected everybody after you. And it's not fair. And I would always tell those people, I'm going to ban you for 1 month until you learn how to do your time. I can't help it. It's not even me being a jackass. It's I had a contract. The people are a contract with the casino. The casino says your show is over at 9 o'clock, not 9:01.
I worked in plenty of casino,
You know what I
and
mean?
they don't
So
want
wrap it
you
up.
watching the past 90 minutes in a show because they know that if
That's
people,
it, buddy.
if they go
The
over,
casinos don't play.
yeah, if you go over the 90 minutes, people are starting getting tired, and instead of going out and gamble, they're gonna go home, and that's a big loss for them. So they're very strict about
That,
that. You know,
absolutely. When you're in a casino, you're part of the experience of that casino, a part of it. Yes, they make money, they sell drinks, tickets, I get that. But they want those people to finish the show and get out to the casino floor. It's a business. So a lot of times performers don't understand that part of it. And I learned it early on. And when I was responsible for running a club in a casino, it was on me to make sure that show wrapped up. But I can't tell my headliner, hey, instead of doing 30 minutes, you're doing 26 tonight because some jackass did 4 minutes over.
right,
That's the headliner.
right,
He's doing
right.
it to 30 minutes. Then I got to get him off 4 minutes early. You know what I mean? So it's a valuable lesson. People, they got to understand. It's called show business. It's a business.
Well, I'll tell you what, I had experiences when
Yep.
I
Anyway.
rented theaters where, a lot of the people in the union, they work on 4-hour blocks. Okay. So, after they're
Mm-hmm.
done, say you hire them for 8 hours, if everybody goes over, they start another 4 hours block times another 10 employees. And, your bills could run up for thousands. But look what I
Yeah.
got here. Do you recognize this?
Ah, you have that? Oh my God.
Of course I do.
Did I send you that?
You did. You did a few
Did I
years
send
back.
you that?
And
I did.
listen, I love the title. I do things. This should be the
I do
slogan
things.
of my life. I
Yeah.
do things. You know.
I do things.
Now, this was recorded at Governors. Which one?
Well, Governor's in Levittown.
Okay. All right. So the
That's
main.
the Long Island.
Yeah, I'm friends
Yeah.
with Jimmy, the owner's the son. I've done quite a few shows over there with
Sure.
the Uncle Louie Variety Show. So we've been going there, 3 times a
Okay.
year. Yeah. So great room.
Fantastic.
And yesterday, that's what we were talking about
Oh,
with Tom. You get that vibe from certain clubs
yeah.
that you don't get that in bigger
Yeah.
spaces.
Tony, you're absolutely right. I think comedy is a very intimate performing art. And I tend to be visual in a lot of my act. And I think that matters if people can see me up close as opposed to way in the back. And if you go to a club like Governor's, which is about as perfect a comedy club as you can get,
Yeah.
even if you're in the back, you're not far away.
Right.
There's good sight lines from everywhere, and you can enjoy the show better.
I don't know. There's something about clubs.
But Jimmy, they're all great people over there.
Yeah. Jimmy, his son Jimmy is like the best club owner or manager I probably ever met in my life. The kid is perfect.
Yeah.
He usually runs
He's wonderful.
Yeah. He usually runs the Bohemia one at in the McGuire one.
McGuire's. Yeah.
So now we talked about your comedy career, okay? But you've done so much more. I want to talk to you've been in 2 of my favorite shows. We already discussed this, but and many, many more. But you've been in Law and Order SVU multiple times. Which is one of my favorite shows. Then Criminal Intent. You've been in King of Queens, Ed, Open Faith. How did you transition?
Yeah.
How did you start on television?
Tony, well, as I told you, I took acting classes, and I continued with that. I took some classes in New York with Joanna Bexon and Alice Spivak, and then I was able to get an agent. And when you have an agent, you can start to get auditions. So I remember my first audition for Law and Order SVU. I went in there, and it was, Law and Order. I mean, this is a serious show, not a comedy. So I was playing a cop, and there was nothing funny about it. There was a dead baby. So that the dead baby was discovered. I was playing the cop who was explaining what was going on to the detectives. And I remember on the audition, I was talking to the detectives, and I said something like, the guy that found the baby is an epidemiologist. He was a doctor. He's an epidemiologist. I call him over, and he corrects me. He goes, no, actually, I'm an endocrinologist. So I kind of made a little face at him and moved on. I did that in the audition, and everybody laughed. I thought, well, that might not work. This is a serious show.
Right.
But I got the part. So I always tell you, if you get the part, you do on camera what you did in your audition, unless they tell you otherwise. So something, or I gave them something that they didn't even know they will look. Sometimes you give them something they don't even know they want yet. You know what I mean? So we're on the set, and I shot the scene exactly the way I did it in the audition.
Wow.
Exactly. Because that's what you do. Unless the director comes up to you and says, hey, look, we want you to try this.
Yeah.
Well, we want you to try that. Try to do it this way. Then you adjust. Yeah. You're always prepared. You always got to be prepared, at least 2 or 3 different ways of doing something just in case.
Right.
Whether it be on the audition or the actual shoot. Sometimes you do a shoot, Tony, and they'll go, perfect. Hey, we have a little bit of time. Let's try it again. Let's do something different this time. Well, as an actor, you want to be able to bring a little something different. They're just to see. They may like it better or not as much. But if they say, we got some time, everybody, let's shoot it again. Hey, let's mix it up a little bit. Let's just try something. Hey, Greg, maybe try this a little this way, or so-and-so do this. So you got to be prepared when you're on the set to be able to do that. But they never said that. And so I'll tell you a funny story. We're shooting that scene on location in Manhattan. So we're outside, and they had to shut the streets down because the scene was being shot on a street, either West 27th or something like that. So they shut the streets down to stop traffic coming. So we would shoot the scene, then you got to move all the lighting and all that different camera angles. So it took all day. But during lunch break, I noticed there was a black town car across the street. I didn't think anything of it. It's New York. There's black town cars everywhere, right? But it's there. Anyway, we go on break, and the town car, I'm standing on the sidewalk, probably having a cup of coffee, and the town car comes from my right, and it comes around, and it passes me, and it makes a U-turn, and it comes back, and it's pulling right in front of me now. And I'm thinking, I'm going to get whacked. It pulls right in front of me, and it stops. It's got tinted windows. And the passenger window comes down slowly. And there's a man sitting there, and he says something to me like, hey, you're doing a really good job. I said, oh, thank you very much. I appreciate that. I didn't know who he was. He goes, no, you're doing a really good job. Appreciate it. Keep doing it. Great job. I said, oh, thank you very much, sir. I appreciate that. He goes, you don't know who I am, do you? I said, no, sir, I'm sorry, I don't. I apologize. I go, am I going to get fired? He goes, no. And he tells the driver to pull away, and as the black town car pulls away, the passenger window goes up slowly. He pulls away. And he's laughing as he pulls away. I'm standing there like, who is this guy? Yeah. So I look around, and I see one of the girls on a crew, and I go over there, and I go, who was that? And she goes, that's Dick Wolf's partner. Oh, wow. He has a partner. So if you ever look at the credits, his name is Ted, and I'm going to mispronounce his last name, but I don't want to, but Ted something with a K. Anyway, she goes, that's his partner. He's a big shot. He's co-created the show. Like, oh my God, that's what I was just talking to? She goes, yeah. So some of the other actors come there and go, what did he say to you? He never says anything to us. I go, he just pulled around and said he liked what I was doing and to keep it up and asked me if I knew who he was, and I didn't. Then he drove away. But you never know, Tony, who's there. Like, you never know. Here was the guy co-created the show. Watch him that day. I don't know if he did it every day or that was just a fluke, whatever it was.
So,
but I'll tell you what, though, those people on that Law and Order SVU, I did it 4 or 5 times. Tony, you will not ask for a more professional, nicer group of people to work with. The best.
well,
Never any issues.
I used to have a crush on Marisa.
Mariska Haggerty. No. Okay, here's a quick story about her. She's wonderful. So this is the same episode. My first time doing Law and Order SVU. I was nervous, as you can imagine, right?
Yeah.
So we're downtown. I'm in a trailer. And when I say a trailer, I mean, when you're a day player like I was, they divide the trailer up into 4 sections. It's not like the stars each get their own trailer. Anyway, whatever. It's fine. I don't care. But I'm there really early. It's like a 7 a.m. call time. I'm there. I got the makeup. I'm playing a cop. I got the uniform on, the whole bit, right? Yeah. The girl comes and gets me. She's like, we're ready for you. So I come out, and I'm walking down the sidewalk with this girl from the crew, the assistant. I guess she was like an assistant director. And she's walking. She goes, okay, we're going to pick up Mariska now and take her to the set. And I'm like, oh, my God. No, she said Miss Haggerty. She called her Miss Haggerty. I said, oh, my God. I get all nervous. My heart's pounding. So she knocks on the trailer, and out comes Mariska Haggerty. Yeah. I got to tell you something, Tony. As beautiful as she is, there's something about her that is just every day. There's nothing about her that says I'm a star. She's just everyday nice person. So when she comes out of the trailer, I'm wearing a policeman's uniform. Yeah. But you can't dress as a cop unless you're a cop. You can't impersonate a police officer. It's illegal. I'm technically not on the set yet. On the set, fine. On the way to the set, no. So I just put a jacket over. Yeah. We're walking to the set, and the girl says, oh, my God, I left something back in my trailer. Greg, can you please get Miss Haggerty to the set? I said, sure. So she runs and gets whatever she forgot. Mariska Haggerty says to me, so how long are you on the job for? I'm like, that means how long you've been on the job means I'm a cop. If you say you're on the job, that means I'm a cop. I go, I'm not a cop. She goes, come on. I know a cop when I see one. I go, Miss Haggerty, I'm not a cop. She goes, call me Mariska. I said, okay, Mariska, I am not a cop. I'm in a scene with you. She goes, get out of town. You're a cop. So I pull out my script. Yeah. I go, look. I go, do you notice I'm wearing this jacket? She goes, oh, my God. I go, no gun. So she thought I was a cop. She goes, you're going to be good. I thought you were a cop. I go, no, sorry. She goes, you got that thing about you that says you're a cop. I go, I'm not a cop. And it was so nice. Yeah. I mean, Chris Maloney was terrific, very nice. It's very, very nice. They just want you to do well. They want you to do well. There's none of this big shot. I'm the star of the show. Everybody was just right there. You felt like you were another actor just with them on doing this project to make it work, not anything standoffish or don't come near me, don't look me in the eye, none of that crap.
I mean, that must
regular people, every one of them.
The longest running season of any shows. I don't know. It's been going on for like 20 years already. Over 20 years. Yeah,
it's amazing. It's amazing. Yeah. And I think part of it is because of what I just told you. I think when you have good people doing stuff, I think it shows. I think it reflects. It's somehow on subconscious level with the actors and the directors and the crew. Always forget about the crew, the camera people, and all these people. Lighting, the sound, they're pivotal to the success of any project. So I think it shows. I really do. I mean, plus they have such great stories, they have such great stories, and how the show's going to go. It's the crime, the investigation, the trial.
There's only one thing I never understood about the show. One thing. Okay. Every
Yeah.
time they interview somebody in that show, any suspects or any uh the people they interview, and they're always walking away doing their
And this-
job.
I
I
know.
don't know if you notice that. Doesn't matter what they're doing. If the guy
Yeah,
is
they
a
do that a lot.
market, he's continuing carrying his fish. If he's a, I'm like,
Yeah,
if the cop stops me for murder, I'm pretty much going to listen what
yeah,
he's got to say. You know,
yeah. I know. Do you ever watch a show called "It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia"?
I heard of it, but I never seen it.
Oh, great show. So there's one episode a few years ago where these two idiots are trying to prove somebody innocent. So they go down to where this crime occurred, and they were asking a guy, "Did you witness this?" And the guy's moving boxes,
Yeah,
and he goes, "I don't want to say." And he keeps moving the boxes, and the one guy says to him, "Don't stop doing your job. They never do on TV." But you're right, Tony. If a cop came up to me and said, "I'm doing something," and the cop says, "Hey, can I ask you a couple questions?" Yeah, I'm not going to keep doing it. I'm going to talk to the cop. But they always do that on Law and Order. You're right.
but you must have something of a cop face because you played police officers on other occasion,
I
including.
have.
I mean, I'll transition now into your movies career. You've done
Uh-huh.
multiple movies in your life, and one of the
Yeah,
recent ones that you did a couple of years ago, which is
yeah.
hilarious, with Kevin James,
Yes.
Mall Cop 2.
Yeah. Paul Blart Mall Cop 2. Yeah.
How was
That
that
was a
experience?
blast to do.
That
That
was
was a
filmed in Vegas, right?
it was filmed in Vegas. Yes. Did a lot of it at the Wynn. Um, I knew Kevin when I was talking about Gary Valentine earlier
Yeah.
with doing the stand up. His brother is Kevin James. Um, they both have a
Okay.
stage name, but so
Okay.
their brother Gary Valentine. If people don't know who he is, real quick, he played his cousin on The King of Queens.
Okay.
So if you ever watch King of Queens and you see Doug's cousin, that's Gary Valentine. Great
Oh,
talent.
of
And
course, I know who he is. Yes, yes, yes.
yeah. And then
Obviously.
he played his brother on Kevin Can Wait.
Yeah.
So and they are brothers. They're both really great guys. So I got Paul Blart Mall Cop 2 because I had done The King of Queens a few years earlier, and so they were shooting it in Vegas, and they called me up and they were like, "Hey, do you want to be in the movie?" I'm like, "Yeah, I want to be in the movie." They said, "Great, you're going to play a Vegas Metro cop." I'm like, "Perfect." So funny story about that was I get the script and all that, I have all the lines down. I go for wardrobe one day, and then we're going to make sure everything's fits right and all that. And a couple days later, we're going to shoot. So the day of the shoot, I get there, and I'm in a scene with Kevin. Then I have my partner in the scene, and then there's a few other people who work at the hotel in the scene. And the scene is shot in Kevin's hotel room bathroom, so it's kind of tight quarters. Anyway, so there was an actor who was supposed to play my partner, and something came up and he couldn't do it. So they got Kevin's bodyguard, his actual bodyguard, to shoot the scene with me, and he was going to play a cop. His name is Danny Guire. So Danny is a retired New York City police officer. He was at 9/11, the whole bit.
Wow.
Danny is the real deal. Danny's a real hero, truly a hero. So I meet Danny, and we realize we're going to be in a scene together with Kevin. And turns out Danny lives in my hometown on Long Island, where I went to school. So we had something to talk about, and we did this.
Hog,
So
right?
we're shooting. What's that?
Well, you went
Hopog.
to Hog, yeah.
Hopog High School. Yeah.
Yep.
So Danny lives in Hopog. So we bought a house. So we had something to talk. We get along great. He's a great guy, Danny. And we're shooting the scene. We shoot the scene. It takes all day to shoot the scene because the same thing with Law and Order. You have to move the cameras. You got to get close-ups. You got to do this. You got to move the lighting. It's all a whole big production. So Danny is a real retired New York City police officer. This guy's seen everything. And I'm just some dopey comedian actor. So anyway, we're shooting the scene. And during a break, one of the girls from the crew came up to me and she goes, "Hey, listen, you know, my dad's a cop. I just want to thank you for your years of service as a police officer. And I said to her, I said, oh, I'm sorry, you're mistaken. I'm not a police officer. I'm an actor. She goes, no, no, no. I know cops when I see them. You're just like my
Again.
dad and all of his cop friends. Yeah, yeah. I said, I got to tell you the truth. I'm not a police officer. She goes, I heard that there was a real police officer shooting a scene today. And I said, it's not me. I said, it's actually that guy over there, Danny. And she goes, I thought you were a cop. I go, I'm not a cop. Danny's retired New York City cop. She goes, oh my God, I'm so embarrassed. I go, don't be embarrassed. So I called Danny over. I go, Danny, this young lady just thanked me for all your years of service as a New York City police officer. So he's like, great. I risked my life for 25 years, and you get the credit. But he was wonderful about it. He was such a great guy. She said, I'm so sorry. Thank you so much for everything you do and everything you did and all that. But it's a funny little scene because I think people think I'm a cop sometimes. You know what I mean? Tony, it's weird because I'm not. But I have cops in my family, but I'm not a cop. I've never been one. I'm not brave enough to do that. Put on that uniform. Oh my God.
So
I couldn't do it.
now, other than the movies, you're actually starring in as a main character an independent film called "Captivating Carla" that came out a couple years ago in 2017. Actually, how was that experience being the main
Right.
character?
It's a good question because, you know, most of what I've done in my life, Law and Orders, a couple of TV shows, Hope and Faith, King of Queens, a few other things, and the movies, besides Captivating Carla, it was always like a scene or two. Captivating Carla with B. Broda, I was the co-star with her. So I was in just about every scene. And it's a small independent, but you do feel that pressure that like you can't have an off day.
Right.
You got to be consistent. Like sometimes you can shoot a scene over the course of 3 days. It could take that long for a whole host of reasons.
How long did it take to film the whole thing?
We shot that movie sunrise to sunset and beyond for, I believe we shot for 7 straight days.
Okay.
Continuous. I mean, wake up, have breakfast, get to work. Because, you know, you're trying to keep the budget as tight as possible. You know, so, and believe me, I'm not complaining, but there were often 12 to 16-hour work days. And when you're in every scene, excuse me, you better bring it every scene. And you better bring it every minute, every second of every scene. Because to the audience, they're watching you. They think this might be a continuous shoot. But as I said, it may take 2-3 days to shoot a scene. So if you start on Monday shooting the scene, you're getting different camera angles. This is going on, that's going on. You got to remember when you're shooting outside, you have to control the lighting. You can't shoot a breakfast scene. Right. Let's say you start shooting a breakfast scene, it's breakfast, it's 8 o'clock, right? Well, it may take hours to shoot that scene while the sun has moved. People would see that if they're watching it. Right. When the editor splices it together, if the sun's in my face, let's say coming from my left, but by the time we finish the scene, which as you're watching, it might be 2 minutes later, but in reality, it was 5 hours later, the sun's here now. Well, you need your lighting technician to adjust all that so that the sun is consistent on my face, the shadows behind me are consistent, because people will pick up on that. Even if it's subconscious, they'll go, how come the sun was here, but now it's here? Doesn't make sense. So you need to do all of that work to get it done. So as the actor, they may say to you, all right, 20-minute break, 30-minute break, while they adjust the lighting. You got to come back in that same moment you were in when you left. Gotcha. No matter what that moment was, you know, happy, sad, hungry. I mean, whatever you were doing in that scene, you know, you better bring that immediately because the audience will detect something subtly off in the performance. If let's say I'm having breakfast, but it's a very serious conversation. Yeah. I just asked I just asked someone to marry me in this diner, and she didn't answer me yet. And we're talking about it. And we got to take a break and come back.
Yeah.
What emotions were I feeling when we took that break? Was I disappointed? Was I angry, sad, confused, whatever? I got to get right back into that. It's got to be the same moment, or it will come across as being fake to an audience. And even if they can't put their finger on it, they'll know it because the camera shows everything. The camera shows every little emotion, every little feeling. You don't realize sometimes that you would express an emotion without saying a word. You express an emotion with your eyes, right? So if I'm brokenhearted, if she says to me, "No, I'm not going to marry," I might have a moment of my world just ended. But if 30 minutes go by and I'm back and I go, "Where were we? Oh yeah, you said no. Okay, well I gotta have that moment again.
Right.
It's got to be. It's got to be real." So I think your question was, how long does it take? You better bring it every single time. And people think doing a comedy like Mall Cop 2, well, that's easy. No, it's not, because not everything's funny. You could be doing a scene, excuse me, Tony, where it's funny. Now we got to take a break and move the cameras. You got to come right back to that humor.
Yeah.
And that's not easy to do. That's not easy to do because maybe you just went on your break for 30 minutes and you got a text telling you your wife's car broke down. Or now you're all out of it. Oh, the car broke down. Is she okay? Because you're human. You have a life. You have things going on.
Asking for money.
So you got to be able to bring that every moment.
Right. I saw the trailer and it looked fantastic. I didn't get to see the movie yet, but I'm gonna look it up and try to see if I can grab it. Now, your last name is Vaccariello, right?
Vaccariello. Little cow.
Which inspired the name of your production company.
Right. Little Cow Productions.
Yeah. So in 2000, because people that don't know, you're also a writer, and in 2005 you start working on a pilot on a show called Now What.
Right.
Hang
on. That's my wife.
Oh.
Crap. Hang on. Sorry.
No problem.
That was my wife. She's checking up on me.
And now you were working actually on a different pilot of lately. What pilot were you working on?
Well, we did Now What, but that didn't. I mean, we never got that into production. We did that as actually a play. I kind of converted it to a theater form. I did it as a play in New York, an off-Broadway play. And that was a tremendous experience because I was producer, writer, the whole bit. I hired a director. I didn't direct it. Yeah. And that becomes an experience, as you know, as a producer, because you're laying out the money, and you got to hope that you get at least most of it back. Yeah. In addition to the experience of doing it, I had to cast it. I cast the other characters, and it was a lot of work. But I wouldn't have traded it for anything. I wouldn't have traded it for anything. But right now I'm working on a script, Tony, that I put out to a few people to read. Matter of fact, Mark Riccadonna read it for me. You know Mark, right?
No, I don't think I know him.
Mark Riccadonna? Oh my God. Okay. Wonderful guy, great comedian, all that. So he loved it. I got a few people who really loved it, and I'm trying to get it to. I want to kind of finalize the episode. I have the pilot written, and I'm almost done with this second episode, and it's called Sin City Daycare. So anyway, it's a vehicle I wrote for myself. They say you got to do that. You got to write something for yourself now. So, and I just, it's one of those things where everybody that's read it has really, really liked it. And I always tell people, if you read it, don't sugarcoat anything. I want the truth. Yeah. So a friend of mine who is an Emmy Award-winning writer read it. and he gave me a few technical things to do with the actual structure of the script.
Okay.
And then he gave me a great piece of advice, which I knew but never really thought about.
Yeah.
He said, when you have a script that you want to pitch to somebody, like for a TV show,
Yeah.
so you're going to pitch the pilot episode, you have to go into more detail on the important characters, on who they are, what makes them who they are, their background, their current situation, hopes and dreams, all that stuff. You really have to go into more detail because I did it more superficially.
Yeah.
I gave more of a physical description, age, where they're from, that kind of thing, as opposed to really getting into who they are as a person. And that would be something that would appeal to somebody who may be thinking about going into production with me on this. So they'd want to go, well, who is Jimmy? Who is Dolly? Who really is Carl? Who are they? What motivates them? And as an actor, I did all that in my head for the characters. But I had to be aware of somebody looking at it for the first time.
Right.
Go, well, who is this guy? Who is she? Why is she really doing that? Can you tell us something about her that would make us understand a little bit better why she took that approach to that situation? And also then, if someone goes, we love it, we're going to start casting it, you've got to give those people coming in for the audition an idea of who the character is, so they can work with it as an actor. If it's just a little thing, one line, two lines, no big deal. But if this person is an integral part of the show, or at least of that episode, that actor needs to know it sounds cliche, what their motivation is. So when they come in for the audition, they can maybe give me something that they brought to it because they knew that little piece of information about that character that I explained. So my redone version of the pilot will have maybe 2 paragraphs or 3 paragraphs describing the character, so that anybody reading can go, oh, I get it. Okay, I get this person now. So that was a great tip my friend John Payton gave me about like a pilot episode, or like the second episode, I introduce 3 characters that are pivotal to the episode and one that may be pivotal to the show. So I really went into detail without being redundant and boring and too much about who these people are. And you know what? Then as a writer, even though I knew who they were in my head, when I put it on paper, it helped me write their lines better. Okay? So it helped me, write their lines better because I put down on paper and I read it and it was in my head who they are.
But it does make
so sense. I remember this thing. Yeah. I think a director, a casting director, an actor, a producer who's laying the money out to do this might want to know, wait a minute now, who are these people? Like, are you serious about this? Did you really give this thought? So the answer is yes, I have. But now it's on paper. It helped me as a writer write their lines better, even though I knew the character. It was my character in my head. I created the character. I developed it. But by putting it on paper and going, yeah, okay, and I was typing out things that, okay, and he could be this way, she could be that way, smarter than they look. You know what I mean? If you just give a physical description on someone, you may think, oh, they don't look too bright. Yeah. But if I just put in smarter than they look, that actor may go, that gives me something. It gives me something to work with. Okay, they want me to come in kind of being a little not the brightest guy in the world or brightest girl in the world, but just that little subtle thing where the actor knows smarter than I look, that may help that actor give a reaction to something that they would never would have had if they thought they were just dumb. Maybe
Also,
they're
right. No, no, I was saying also because by writing down what those characters represent and their background is going to help them decide if we pick up this pilot, this series, where is this going to go as well? I'm assuming.
right.
Uh,
Yeah,
now,
yeah, exactly. And you never know what you can get from somebody when you give
right.
them a little more to work with.
So we're close to the end. I can't believe the
Yeah.
hour almost flew by. But I'm going to ask you a question that I've been
Whoa.
asking everyone.
Yeah.
I told you we will fly. The hour just flies by. We have a lot of people that have been saying
Yeah.
hello. I know you cannot see them in multiple social media outlets. I asked everybody the same question. We know the negatives of COVID and what's going on with our industry.
Right.
Let's tell me something
Right.
positive that's happened, at least in your perspective, uh, do, in this lockdown.
Yeah, I tell you, I knew you were going to ask me that,
Yeah,
and I think it's a great question because we all know the negatives, and right now, I mean, like there are so many of them. We talked a little bit yesterday about this. I don't know if I spoke to you, if I found this out before or after we spoke,
yeah,
but I work a lot now on cruise ships.
yeah,
That's been the bulk of my income for 4 years, and I love it. But these cruise ships are done till August 1st. I mean, I'm sitting there going, what am I going to do? I applied for all the stuff. We'll see what happens. The unemployment, gig workers insurance, and all that stuff. The positive out of this, I think, and I'm going to probably say things that you've heard before, but I do think it's true that I think you find out a lot about yourself and what you're made of. And it's not just a matter of being tough, but it's like being resilient and continuing. I try to be positive every day, and I'm forcing myself to be positive. I don't know if this is answering your question, Tony, but I'm forcing myself to take care of today, but more so than ever, look to the future and see what I want to get. It's forcing me to do that. And I always felt like I was that way. That's why I work on these scripts and I try to see down the line that I want this to be made into something. I see it. But now it's like, to me, it's almost more imperative to work on it because as we all know, you can't count on anything except your friends, your family, and yourself.
yeah.
You don't know what's going to happen. I'm not saying don't trust people. I mean, anything
Right,
can happen. Anything.
right.
Look, who expected this to happen? Nobody.
Yeah, I know I
So
did.
be prepared. No, of course not. Like we talked about yesterday, you didn't expect this,
Not at all.
right?
Not at all.
Be prepared. Know yourself. If there's things about yourself that you find you don't like, and nobody's perfect, we all have them. Work on them today. And I really kind of think I really learned that because of this. And I think that's a positive thing. I think that's a positive thing. Don't mope. Keep moving forward. Take care of yourself. Make sure you got what you need. I know it's hard. I know it's hard. A lot of people. I lost half my income this year like that. Like that.
Yeah,
Gone. At least. I don't know, maybe more. That I know of, half my income is gone. I never saw that coming. On March 15th, I walked off a cruise ship for the last time, maybe this year. So, and that's my income. So I think if I got something positive out of it, it was more self-reflection. Sometimes you can really identify a weakness and you can identify a strength that you have that maybe you didn't even know you had. Focus on both of them. Accentuate the positive, whatever the negative is, try to get rid of it, or at the very least, change it, make it better, do something. That's what I see as a positive that came out of this, if anything.
Well, Greg, thank you so much for being on the show. I really appreciate your time. I know I think you're a fantastic actor and a comedian, and I hope I can get you back. But just remember, if the pilot goes through, I want to be at least an extra on it. I
Yeah.
don't care if I have to scrub toilets. Okay.
You, Tony, you got it, buddy.
All right.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. It was great talking to you and everybody watching.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody, for being
Okay,
on.
buddy. Thank you.
Subscribe to the Tony Napoli channel on YouTube, where you can see the show back there in about an hour or so. Thank you, everybody. Bye bye.